What is up, guys and gals? So this is a little bit more of an interesting video. I'm actually going to jump into my lab work, my blood work, after being on a carnivore for roughly 7.5 months. We're going to go through getting the blood work, we're going to come back, and then I'm going to share my one-on-one consult with Paul Saladino, who is Carnivore MD in the space now, if you don't know. Going into this, I was doing 1 meal a day for about 2 months, about 1.5 to 2 months, leading up to my blood draw. The blood draw was done on a fasted state, so overall triglycerides and blood sugar resting glucose levels, A1C. These results are a couple months now past. It's mid-August, I'm recording this, and we're gonna see how things have changed already. I really wanna encourage you to watch this content because in the video, we go over my heart disease, my inflammation, my diabetic markers, my hormones. We get into the meat. And then at the end, I'm gonna show you, again, some of the things that I think we can do to correct things. All right, what's up, guys? So today, I am getting my blood drawn. It should be a pretty good test in comparison between someone who is maybe a bit more like paleo, keto, switching over to carnivore. I haven't had real carbs, just meat. And so the protein itself getting converted to sugar. So I'm interested to see what my inflammation looks like, what my testosterone and hormones look like, and to see kind of like how that really affected my overall body. So let's take a look. We'll go to the lab and we'll check it out. All right, let us jump out and grab a bike. We are going to get our blood drawn. So I'm excited about this because it's been 7 months strict eating. And to be honest, I don't even think the eating has been that bad. Like, it's more just the social challenge around the social pressures and just kind of being able to kind of connect and bond with people. People bond over food. I think it's not unfortunate, it's kind of just a fact of society that we really value food, we really value flavor and the pleasure it brings us, and that's just the way things are. We get this blood draw, see what happens with the carnivore diet. Hop on this bad boy. I'm not gonna shoot when I get there on the road.
Oh no, the hormones you didn't get. The other, there was one sent on yesterday. The hormones haven't been.
All right, we got Lisa and Carrion in the house. About to pull the blood.
Literally pull.
Man, I'm a little scared of this because I went to one of these before and she stuck me like 5 times. I had to go to another location.
Look at your vein. Zoom in on that right there,
Zoom
man.
in on that vein.
I know, like, how can you not pull blood for me, right? I know you gotta drink water, which I did this morning.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Like, I don't know, yeah, see, it's just coming out, like, no problem.
No problem, man. So I'm gonna be on YouTube, right?
Yeah, you be on YouTube.
Kurt's crazy, man.
You pull like 5 of these?
Yeah.
So, is that a lot of blood?
Nah, not really.
Not really at all.
So, what do you eat like in the morning? Like bacon, right?
Nothing. I don't eat anything. I don't drink coffee. I just do water.
Water?
And then at night, you got to do like a nose to tail diet. So you got to make sure you eat like not just muscle meat like steak. You got to do liver, eggs. I do egg yolks.
Okay.
Egg yolks are super good for you. I also do salmon roe, which is like salmon eggs.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of seafood around here to get my DHA, EPA.
Right. Well, you work out too, right?
A little bit, like 2 hours a week.
2 hours.
It's about
Man,
it.
there's no way you do that. No. You know, I really
I'm telling you, most
you,
of
right?
it's diet, dude. I'm telling you.
So you just.
I lift
but
weights
you
less
rip,
than
though.
2 hours a week.
Yeah, I don't believe you. You gotta do it every day.
Basically, cholesterol. We all think that cholesterol is this horrible thing. If you looked at my lab work, you saw that I had over 300 cholesterol. My LDL was sky high.
But you'll notice that your LDL direct is 202 but your HDL is 82 and your triglycerides are 55. Like, that is not a pattern of metabolic dysfunction in any way, shape, or form. It's just, this is a pattern of ketosis. This is a pattern of carnivore diet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So triglycerides are, if they go high, that's a bad sign, right?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much across the board, high triglycerides are not a good thing. Cool.
So if I went to a traditional cardiologist, though, they would tell me to get on statins.
They would tell you to get on statins, 100%.
And they'd be like, because your LDI is so high. And
yeah, because your LDL is so high. They'd be like, wow, you have familial hypercholesterolemia. You'd be like, well, I'm on a ketogenic diet. And they'd say, we don't know anything about that. You have familial hypercholesterolemia.
Triglycerides are basically and don't quote me on this because I'm not a doctor, and all of this is for entertainment purposes, so you need to go see your doctor about everything in my blood work. If you decide to make decisions, please do it at your own risk. Don't do something stupid. I would feel bad. It would be bad for both of us. Triglycerides are essentially fat molecules in your bloodstream that are designed to transport energy. What happens is when you go into a fasted blood draw, you're not supposed to have all these fat molecules circulating around transporting energy. The energy is supposed to be either stored efficiently, just putting it back where it needs to go, or it's supposed to be utilized. And so when you see people who have metabolic syndrome, pre-diabetic, their triglycerides get elevated and they have higher levels of triglycerides circulating in their body. And it's a sign that their body isn't as efficient at utilizing or storing the energy. We all think that cholesterol is this horrible thing. If you looked at my lab work, you saw that I had over 300 cholesterol. My LDL was sky high. By normal sort of medical terminology, it was over 200, but my HDL and my triglycerides were awesome. They were both like, HDL was at 82 and the optimal range is over 40. So I was twice the over optimal range. And triglycerides, they were at like 55, fasted triglycerides. And the optimal range is anything below 150. So an interesting thing that we looked at was my HSCRP. This is C-reactive protein. This is one of the unique elements that in mine, talking with Paul, if you listen on the consult, he sees typically below 0.5 and I was at 2.9.
See that HSCRP at 2.9?
Uh-huh.
That's something to think about. I'm not sure why that ended up that way. You collected this at 12:51 p.m. You were fasting. Did you do a workout before this or anything?
No.
Yeah.
I'm kind of towards the end of the high range.
Yeah, you're much higher than I like to see it. I like to see it. Usually mine is 0.3.
0.3.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Recently I had one that was a little bit higher, but I had like 5 or 6 in a row on carnivore that were 0.3.
Interesting. So something in my body is inflamed. So looking at this and thinking about it, I could be overtraining. I could be just lifting too much, exercising too much. I typically am exercising 5 to 6 days a week pretty consistently. My sleep hadn't been the best optimally. I also, and this is a big thing for me personally, because I'm on the carnivore diet, I'm not eating a lot of plants and I'm not eating any plant molecules. There wasn't a whole lot of hormesis going on leading up to this test, meaning I hadn't been doing a lot of heat exposure, cold exposure, environmental hormesis, and I wasn't getting any hormesis from plants. So I have noticed, and I've made a much more conscious effort to get heat exposure through sauna use at my gym, at least 3 days a week. And I just started doing cryotherapy. That's gonna be another very unique one to watch. Keep in mind, I'm avoiding the plants and we're on the carnivore diet because these plant molecules are pesticides that the plants develop. The majority of them have negative effects on the body.
The rest of these inflammation markers look pretty good. Fibrinogen is on the high end, but I'm not terribly worried. Your homocysteine is 7, which is good. That has to do with, that's a marker of sort of folate metabolism, and it's one of these things. That's the podcast I did with Ben Lynch. We talked about homocysteine and all that kind of stuff. So that's, that looks fine. That tells me you're getting adequate folate, adequate riboflavin, which is good. Endothelial function looks fine. Your asymmetric dimethylarginine, your symmetric dimethylarginine, your L-arginine, and the ratio are all fine. I'm not worried about any of that.
Okay.
Cholesterol absorption markers. It says you're a hypo absorber, which is fine because you don't have any plants in your body, so these all look like that. The cholesterol is high because you're making a lot of cholesterol. Your desmosterol is high because you're making a lot of cholesterol.
Okay.
This is fine. This is what happens on a ketogenic diet.
My cholesterol absorption, because I'm making a bunch of cholesterol in my body because I'm in ketosis. These red markers on the labs of the absorption status, as well as the cholesterol are great. And another interesting thing was my diabetes and metabolic chart with the glycemic control.
Your fasting glucose was 82 and your A1C was 5.4. Those are both pretty good. I like to see that fasting glucose low. I like to see it even a little bit lower than 82. And I like to see that A1C even a little bit lower than 5.4, but 5.4 isn't bad.
I think it'll go down because I've been adding a lot more fat since the last time I saw you.
Yes, it will. That's exactly what I see there.
See that my resting glucose level was 82 and optimal range is between 70 and 100. We believe, both Paul and I, that we can get that level down to below 50, probably closer to like 50 or even lower, by going heavier on fat. And this is one of the things he's talked about more recently, and one of the things I've really pushed by tracking my macros is that we're actually looking at ways to increase the amount of fat intake in my diet. So my diet has dramatically changed since I pulled this blood in mid-June, where I've focused a lot more on eating more yolks, egg yolks, which are primarily fat, more suet, which is organ fat. I would say that right now I'm probably doing a pretty good job of hitting at least 70 to 75% fat as my macro for my calories. I've eaten a lot less steak. I was eating a lot of bigger steaks back up until June for the last few months. And I think my protein was higher, and my protein was getting converted by the liver through gluconeogenesis into glucose. Also, since I've lowered my protein, I haven't noticed a difference in my strength gains. I feel really good. I think that I feel better, more even energy. Hemoglobin A1C is good, but again, these numbers aren't optimal for what we think we can see in the community with carnivore diet. We actually see these numbers going even lower. So we want to watch those and see if we can drop those through upping the fat intake and staying on that. All the other glycemic metrics around pre-diabetic markers looked really good. Insulin resistance was optimal. I was taking vitamin D supplements up until the spring, and it's a fat soluble vitamin. So that, combined with living in the South in Austin here, where there's a lot more sun, and getting out, making a conscious effort to get out, my vitamin D was really, really high.
And you'll see here your fasting insulin is 2, which is very low. Your C-peptide is 0.7, which is very low. That's just another indication of the
low carb diet.
Yeah, of the low carbohydrate diet. So your vitamin B12 is fine. Your red blood cell folate is fine.
Curcumin has been shown to damage DNA. We can go into a whole rant on this, but there's just sulforaphane has been shown to affect thyroid function. So there's reasons to avoid these molecules, but you do want to make sure you're stimulating hormesis. And that's why I started doing cryotherapy, why I'm getting into sauna use, why I'm really focused on optimizing my sleep, is because in these labs, my inflammation overall was really high.
Your B6 is actually high normal. And you'll notice your 25-hydroxyvitamin D is huge, dude. It's over 100.
I'm not taking any D supplements. I'm just getting sunshine.
Wow.
My vitamin E, which is one of those that they fear, was actually really solid. B12 was awesome. My folate was great. All the B vitamins, all the main vitamins that are kind of feared as being something you'd miss. I mean, there's no challenge here.
Look at how high your coenzyme Q10 is, bro. 3.6. Look at their optimal range, greater than 0.73. You're like in the 99th percentile for coenzyme Q10, which is great. You don't need to take it, you know?
Yeah, and I stopped taking it a while ago after you told me I don't need it because I get it from the meat.
Yeah, you get it from the meat. Your vitamin E is kind of high too. You see that one?
Yeah, I see that.
Your electrolytes, these are serum electrolytes. They're not always indicative of total body stores, but serum electrolytes look fine. Your BUN is 21, not uncommon in people who are eating a lot of protein. So again, this is like a high protein diet, and we wonder how it would be with a little bit different fat.
Right.
The other ones over here on the right look fine. You can see your liver enzymes, your GGT, which is an indication of oxidative stress. It's not too bad. Alkaline phosphatase, bilirubin. Those all look pretty good.
So one more I'll mention, because this video is going to run quite long, because we're going to break it up into parts and we're going to kind of get into more of the science, and I'm making tweaks as I go, is my testosterone. my testosterone tanked. It was over 600 when I pulled it about a year ago. And when I pulled these labs a year later after going carnivore for 7.5 months, my testosterone went from over 600 down to 315. And that's a substantial decrease.
Your FSH and LH are normal. Those are the signals from the pituitary. Your progesterone is fine. Your prolactin is normal, but your free testosterone and total testosterone are pretty low.
Wow.
Your dihydrotestosterone is really low too. I think the last time we looked, these were not low.
I don't feel like I don't have a sex drive though.
I know, right?
But having lower testosterone after eating all that protein seems like kind of counterintuitive. I think it was at 600 on the Nutri-Eval.
It was what?
I think it was 600 before.
Yeah, I think it was 600 on the SpectraCell.
Yeah, the SpectraCell is like 600. How did it go to half?
I don't know. Maybe some people may have a different phenotype where they get more sensitive.
One thing too, though, Paul, I think my diet did, leading to this test, my diet did go a lot more protein heavy and it was less fat heavy than when we did the SpectraCell. So maybe that fat reduction in fat on the diet, which is coming back now, might shift the testosterone back up.
It might.
What we thought about here was two things. One, my fat was probably more like 50% of my diet. It wasn't up to 70 or 80%. And two, I was doing one meal a day about 6 to 8 weeks leading up to this blood test. And so I was fasting around 22 hours and I was just eating one meal, fairly calorie restricted, probably around 2,000 calories, where I need to eat closer to about 2,700 calories at my body weight. What you're gonna see though is I pulled my blood again about 3 weeks later and retested my testosterone, and I'm gonna share that in a future video and go through the details there. I'll just give you a little bit of hint. I think that my based on the metrics that we see, that my hunch was pretty accurate with the one meal a day, the lower calorie intake. So other things in the blood were great: potassium, vitamin K, these things that you think you might need to get from plant molecules, you don't. I mean, I haven't eaten plants in more than half a year, and my blood work just shows that it's not necessary. So if you made it this far, I'm really stoked for you. I really wanted you to get all the way to the end because I was gonna share a lot of what I wanted to talk about in the video. So the big things we're gonna work on, and I'm gonna share more of, is the testosterone. I think will be a big factor when it comes to breaking up the one meal a day, focusing on higher intake of fat, and also optimizing my sleep, as well as the HSCRP, which I believe is really getting affected by, again, not the best sleep schedule, as well as not doing environmental hormesis, not getting sauna, not getting cold exposure, and really just kind of putting some stressors in the environmental phase to kind of trigger that glutathione and see how that does. So I hope this was helpful. I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and supporting. The channel's been doing really well. Excited about it. If you're new, please subscribe, give feedback, comments. I love them. And if you want to hear more about future lab work, let me know what you want to see, what you want to do, and we'll go from there. Talk to you guys soon.